After our breakup, she sent me a letter. I'm pregnant, it's yours, and we need to co-parent. I responded, I'll need a paternity test. I, 29M, am a structural engineer. My job is literally to calculate loads, stress points, and ensure that foundations don't crack under pressure. It's funny, looking back, because while I was spending my days ensuring skyscrapers didn't collapse, my personal life was a house of cards waiting for a stiff breeze. I'm writing this because I need to get it off my chest, and honestly, the level of entitlement I just survived needs to be documented for scientific study. Grab a drink, maybe a snack, because this is going to be a long, bumpy ride involving betrayal, medical miracles, or lack thereof, and the kind of audacity that honestly deserves an award. To set the stage, let's talk about my ex, 27F. We were together for 3 years. In the beginning, she was magnetic, ambitious, beautiful, the life of the party. But as the honeymoon phase wore off, I realized her ambition was actually just a desire for a lifestyle she didn't want to work for. She worked part-time in social media consulting, which mostly meant scrolling Instagram and complaining that she wasn't famous yet. The cracks started showing about a year in. It was always about money. Not that we didn't have enough, I make a good salary, but it was never enough for her. She wanted the Tesla, the designer bags, the trips to Tulum. When I told her we needed to save for a house, she'd roll her eyes and tell me I had a scarcity mindset. The breakup happened 5 months ago. The catalyst? She wanted to move into a penthouse apartment downtown that cost nearly double my current rent. I sat her down with a spreadsheet, yes, I'm that guy, and showed her the math. It was impossible unless she started contributing significantly more. She didn't take it well. She threw a fit. She told me I was holding her back from her potential, and that if I really loved her, I would manifest the abundance she needed. I told her I couldn't manifest money out of thin air, and that's when she dropped the line that killed the relationship. You're just a small man with small dreams. I need someone who can give me the world, not a spreadsheet. I broke up with her right then and there. She didn't believe me at first. She laughed, thinking I'd come crawling back. When I started packing her boxes, the screaming started. She broke a vase my grandmother left me. She told me I'd die alone. I kicked her out, changed the locks, and blocked her on everything. I spent the last 5 months rebuilding my savings, hanging out with my dog Buster, and enjoying the silence. Then came the letter. It wasn't a text, it wasn't an email, it was a certified letter sent to my workplace. She knew I'd have to sign it in front of my coworkers. I opened it in my office. The stationery was heavy, expensive cream paper. Her handwriting was loopy and aggressive. I'm pregnant. I'm 20 weeks along. The timeline matches perfectly with the last month we were together. I know we left things on bad terms, but this is bigger than us. It's a boy. He is yours, and we need to co-parent. I expect you to step up and be the man you claimed you were. My office seemed to tilt sideways. 20 weeks, 5 months. The math, strictly speaking, did line up with the weeks before the breakup. Most guys would panic. They'd start swaying, wondering if the condom broke, wondering if they could afford child support. I didn't panic. I felt a cold, hard knot of anger form in my stomach. Not fear, anger, because I knew with absolute 100% scientific certainty that she was lying. I called the number at the bottom of the letter. I see you got my note, she answered on the first ring. Her voice was smug. She sounded like she had already won. I've been waiting for you to call. We have a lot to do. I've already registered at a few places, and we need to discuss a prenatal budget. My OBGYN is out of network, so it's going to be pricey, but only the best for our son, right? Stop, I said, my voice dead calm. If you are pregnant, I want a paternity test. There was a pause. Then the outrage. Excuse me? You're questioning me? After 3 years? You think I'm some sort of cheater? I was faithful to you every single day, even when you were neglecting me. How dare you doubt me? I'm not saying you're a cheater.
I absolutely was saying that. I'm saying that before I sign a birth certificate or pay a dime, I need scientific proof. There are non-invasive prenatal blood tests. We can do one this week. No, she shrieked. I am not sticking needles in my arm and risking my baby's health just to satisfy your fragile ego. You will wait until the birth, but until then, you are going to support me. I can't work as much because of the stress you are causing. I need $3,500 a month for rent and expenses starting immediately. My lawyer is already drafting the paperwork. No test, no money. And if you get a lawyer involved, make sure he's good. I hung up. The next day, she unleashed the flying monkeys. She posted a video on a new TikTok account. She didn't name me directly, but she gave enough details, my job, my city, the specific breed of my dog, the car I drive, that anyone who knew us knew exactly who she was talking about. The video was titled "Abandoned and Pregnant: The Reality of Dating a Narcissist." She cried. She rubbed her belly. She talked about how she thought she had found the one, but he turned out to be a monster who abandoned his unborn son. My phone blew up. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years were messaging me. "Dude, really? Man up, bro. I can't believe you'd do that to her." I didn't respond to any of them. I just screenshotted everything. 3 days later, the legal threat arrived. It was a letter from a lawyer demanding pre-birth support on detrimental reliance and intentional infliction of emotional distress. It claimed that because we were living together as a domestic partnership, I was liable for her living standards during the pregnancy. It was a shakedown. I made an appointment with my family lawyer. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah is a shark in a silk blouse. She's handled my family's estate planning for years. I walked into her office, dropped the demand letter on her desk, and then placed a thin, worn medical folder on top of it. "This is my response," I said. Sarah read the demand letter first, rolling her eyes at the emotional distress claims. Then she opened the medical folder. She read the first page. She paused. She looked up at me, then back at the page. A slow smile spread across her face. "You've been sitting on this?" she asked. "I don't broadcast it," I said. "It's personal. When I was 9 years old, I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, bone cancer. It was aggressive. The treatment required high-dose chemotherapy and focused radiation near the pelvic region to catch any metastasis. I survived, obviously, but the treatment had a cost. I'm sterile. Not low sperm count sterile. I have azoospermia. My body does not produce sperm. I've been tested annually since I was 18 as part of my long-term survivorship care plan. The count has always been 0. It will always be 0. I cannot father a child naturally. It is biologically impossible." "She doesn't know?" Sarah asked. "No," I said. "We weren't married and we weren't trying for kids yet. It was a conversation I was saving for when we got engaged, which, thank God, never happened." Sarah leaned back. She folded her arms. Then she grabbed the cup of coffee on her desk and took a sip. "Okay," she said, her voice warming. "I'm glad you came to me first. Now we have options. Blah, 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 blah."
Back. Okay, here's what we are going to do. We aren't going to just deny it. We are going to let her dig the hole a little deeper. We sent a response. It was brief. It stated that I categorically denied paternity and requested a court-ordered DNA test immediately upon birth, or a prenatal test now if she wanted immediate support. We attached a summary of the medical findings, redacted just enough to show medical sterility confirmed from 2005 to present, without giving her the full history. I thought that would end it. I thought she would see the medical proof, realize she was busted, and disappear. I underestimated how desperate and entitled she was. A week later, we got a reply from her lawyer. And this is where the story goes from standard cheating ex to lifetime movie villain. Her lawyer wrote back claiming that I was lying by omission. The letter read, "Our client, Ms. X, acknowledges the medical limitations of the defendant. However, Ms. X asserts that during the course of their relationship, the parties agreed to conceive a child using a sperm donor. Ms. X asserts that the defendant, fully aware of his sterility, accompanied her to meet an anonymous donor,
consented to the insemination and verbally contracted to raise the child as his own. He is now reneging on this verbal contract due to the breakdown of the relationship. We are filing for paternity by estoppel." I stared at the letter, feeling the blood drain from my face. She was doubling down. She was inventing a scenario where I knew about the baby and agreed to it, just so she could hook me for 18 years of child support. "She's insane," I told Sarah. "We never used the donor. She's making this up out of thin air." "It's a he said, she said strategy," Sarah warned, looking serious. "In this state, if you consent to artificial insemination or a donor procedure, you are the legal father. If she could convince a judge that you agreed to this and then got cold feet, you could be on the hook. Does she have proof? No, because it never happened." "She just needs to be convincing," Sarah said, "and if she has witnesses or manufactured texts." I went home that night feeling sick. She was going to drag me into court and lie under oath. She wanted my money that bad. She felt so entitled to the lifestyle I provided that she was willing to commit perjury to keep it. I needed to find the truth. If it wasn't a donor, and I knew it wasn't, then who was it? I became a detective. I pulled up our old shared phone bill records from 5 months ago. Nothing stood out. I looked at our shared bank statements. Nothing. Then I remembered her Venmo. She hadn't blocked me there. I scrolled through her public transactions. Most were emojis: pizza, wine glasses, nail polish. But then I saw a transaction from about 22 weeks ago. A payment from her. The caption was just a building emoji. The recipient was JD-88. I clicked the profile. It was private, but the profile picture was a truck, a very distinct lifted Ford F-150 with a custom lime green decal on the back window that said, "Dirt Nasty." I froze. I knew that truck. I had seen it in my own family's driveway. It belonged to Jason. Jason, 22 male, is my sister-in-law's younger brother. He's the black sheep of their family. Nice enough kid, but dumb as a box of rocks and completely irresponsible. He works odd construction jobs, parties too hard, and lives in a trailer on his parents' property. My stomach churned. X had met Jason at my sister's wedding about a year ago. They had danced. I remembered thinking it was funny at the time, my sophisticated girlfriend entertaining the redneck kid. The timeline matched. The building emoji. Jason worked in construction. If Jason was the father, it made perfect sense why she was coming after me. Jason has zero money. He has negative money. He has debt. If she pinned the baby on Jason, she'd get a few $100 a month and a life in a trailer park. If she pinned it on me, or claimed I consented to the donor, she got the structural engineer salary, the insurance, and the reputation. But I needed proof. I couldn't just walk into court with a screenshot of a truck. I called my sister. "Hey, weird question. How's Jason doing?" "Ugh, don't ask," my sister said. "He's been a mess lately. Super paranoid. He asked my husband for a loan last week, said he was in some legal trouble but wouldn't say what, and he deleted all his social media." That was the smoke. I needed the fire. I told Sarah my theory. "We need to get them in a room," I said. "We need to depose her." We set the deposition date. We also issued a subpoena for Jason's phone records, specifically texts between her and Jason, citing them as material evidence for the breach of contract claim she filed. The deposition was brutal. We sat in a conference room, me, Sarah, X, and her lawyer, a greasy guy who looked like he chased ambulances for fun. X looked the part. She wore a modest, flowy dress. She rubbed her bump constantly. She wouldn't look me in the eye. Sarah started the questioning. "Ms. X, you claim my client agreed to a sperm donor. Can you walk us through the process? Where did you find this donor?" "It was online, a forum for private donors. We didn't want to pay agency fees. My name was so worried about money, as always." She took a dig at me even while lying. Classic. "And you don't know the donor's name?" "No, it was anonymous. We met at a motel. He gave us the cup. He left. My name did the insemination himself. He was crying tears of joy." I clenched my fists under the table so hard my nails dug into my palms. The image of me, the sterile cancer survivor, crying tears of joy over a cup of stranger sperm in a motel. It was sick. "I see," Sarah said, keeping her face perfectly neutral. "And you have had no contact with the biological father since?" "None. I don't know who he is." "Ms. X," Sarah said, sliding a photo across the table. It was a picture of Jason standing next to his truck. "Do you know this man?" X froze. Her eyes darted to the photo, then to her lawyer, then to me. "I think I met him once, at a wedding. He's my name's relative." "Have you spoken to him in the last 6 months?" "No, maybe a like on Facebook or something." Sarah nodded. She reached into her file and pulled out a stack of paper, the subpoenaed text logs. "Ms. X, I'm going to remind you that you are under oath. Perjury is a felony. We have here a text conversation between your phone number and a number registered to Jason's last name dated 3 weeks ago." Her face went gray. Her lawyer sat up straighter, looking at the papers. Sarah read aloud. "Text from you to Jason. He's pushing back, but don't worry. I'm going to say it was a donor. He can't prove it wasn't. Just keep your mouth shut and delete your messages. If you talk, we both lose everything. I'll get the child support from him, and I'll slide you some cash so you can fix your truck." Silence. The kind of silence that rings in your ears. Her lawyer snatched the paper from Sarah. He read it. His face turned a deep, angry shade of purple. He looked at X. "Is this accurate?" X started to hyperventilate. "I was scared. Jason doesn't have any money. I couldn't raise a baby with him. My name has a good job. He has a house. He owes me for wasting my prime years." She cracked, right there on the record. "He owes you?" I spoke for the first time. "I don't owe you a damn thing. You tried to trap me."
Tried to force me to pay for another man's child, my relative's child, by lying about my medical trauma. Do you have any idea how sick that is? "You have plenty of money," she screamed, dropping the sad mom act completely. "You're selfish. You're hoarding your money while I'm struggling. Jason is an idiot. I can't be tied to him." "You are tied to him," Sarah said coldly. "And now we're done here." Her lawyer stood up. He started packing his briefcase. "I am terminating this deposition, and Miss X, I am withdrawing as your counsel immediately. I will not be party to fraud." The fallout was nuclear. We didn't just walk away. I authorized Sarah to go full scorched earth. First, we filed for a dismissal of her claims with prejudice, which was granted instantly given the confession. Then, we contacted Jason's parents. My brother-in-law's parents are intense. They are wealthy, deeply religious, and very controlling. When they found out Jason had fathered a child and tried to help cover it up to extort me, they went ballistic. They forced Jason to take a paternity test. It was a match, obviously. Then came the satisfying part. X thought that even if she lost me, she might get a payday from Jason's wealthy parents. She thought they would pay her off to go away. She was wrong. Jason's parents hired their own shark lawyer. They established paternity legally. Then they petitioned the court for a strict child support arrangement. Since Jason technically has no income, he works under the table, the state-mandated support would be peanuts. But the grandparents wanted to support the baby, not her. They set up a direct payment trust. They pay for the best health insurance, they pay the rent for a modest apartment directly to the landlord, not her, and they pay for diapers and formula via a delivery service. X gets zero cash, not a cent. She can't buy purses, she can't go to brunch, she can't manifest a luxury life. And the kicker? To get this support, she had to agree to a custody arrangement that involves regular visits. This means she has to deal with Jason's mother, my sister's mother-in-law. This woman is terrifying. She inspects X's apartment for cleanliness. She critiques her parenting. She calls her out on her spending. X wanted a celestial prince nursery and a passive ATM husband. She got a court-ordered budget, a trailer park baby daddy, and a mother-in-law from hell who watches her like a hawk. I also sued her for my legal fees. She filed for bankruptcy, but the judgment for fraud often survives bankruptcy. It destroyed her credit score. She can't sign a lease without a cosigner.
I saw her once, briefly, at a grocery store about a month ago. She looked tired. She was pushing a cart with the baby, who looks exactly like Jason, poor kid, and arguing on the phone, presumably with Jason or his mom. She saw me. She stopped. For a second, I thought she was going to scream. Instead, she just looked defeated. She looked at my cart, steaks, a good bottle of wine, dog food for Buster. I just nodded and kept walking. I'm currently dating someone new. She's a pediatrician. On our third date, I told her about the cancer and the sterility. She didn't flinch. She just took my hand and said, "There are plenty of ways to make a family." It's nice to be with an adult. So, to my ex, you were right about one thing. I did manifest something. I manifested the truth, and it hit you like a freight train. If you enjoyed reading about how a gold digger tried to cash a check that her lies couldn't cover, hit that subscribe button, because my life is finally drama-free, and I intend to keep it that way.